Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. My name is Kim and I am Barbara's daughter. Thanks so much for joining me again this week to see what I've been stitching. It has been a busy week. I have a lot to show you. I got a lot done, but of course, no matter how much I get done, there are always more things that I want to do, and I have lots of exciting plans to share with you as well. I'm going to start with questions, so I'm just going to pull them up on my phone here. And while I'm doing that, I had a lot of people comment on my mom's, on the journal my mom made for me, and thank you so much for all of your nice comments about it. There were a lot of suggestions for what I should do with it and how I could put cross-stitch pieces in or pictures or both or whatever. So I am excited about that and excited to use the journal. I'm sure I'll show you some things that I end up doing with it once I start using it. It's kind of like when you have something that pretty, I don't want to mess it up. So I'm just thinking about it a little bit before I start using it. Other than just complimenting the journal, some people had questions about the journal itself. So again, here it is with my Dresden plate quilt that was stained and damaged, and she used that for the cover of the journal. And someone had asked, let's see, what size, I'm sorry, I don't have, oh yeah, Linda asked what size the block was because she said she's a big fan of the Dresden plate block. And the finished size, when I measure it, seems to be about 5¼ inches. I'm sure it was probably supposed to be 5½ inches or even just 5 inches, but I am not exactly a perfect quilter. And I don't always trim all my blocks before I sew them together into a quilt, so it's kind of maybe a wonky size, but it's about 5¼ inches, 5½ inches, somewhere in that area. So other questions about the book had more to do with my mom and how she gets her inspiration for doing craft projects like that, and does she find out how to do all this on YouTube? And she does watch a lot of YouTube videos. She's also been crafting in a variety of different mediums for my whole life and before I was born. So she has a lot of experience to draw on too, and I think she just uses what she sees on YouTube and in other places and combines that with things she's already done and knows how to do and kind of comes up with her own style. So yes, I am very lucky, and no, she is not available to be anybody else's mom. She has 4 kids, and I think that's all she's taking at this time. Other questions I had, Carol wanted to know if I'm stitching Teresa Kogut's Land That I Love and what fabric am I stitching it on. Hold that thought, Carol, because yes, I am stitching it, and it's actually in my whip pile to show you. So I'll talk about that a little bit more as I go through my stitching. Deb had asked about the shale fabric I showed last week for Huckleberry Farm and whether it was a fat quarter. I have 36 count, and I double checked the pattern before I answered this question. And yes, on 36 count, it measures the stitching itself 14 by about 12½ inches. So if I add 2 inches to each side for the border, I'll end up with a piece of like 18 by 17. So a fat quarter is plenty big enough for that. And if you want to do it on a larger count fabric, like 28 or 32, you may need more. It just depends how much of a margin you want. So, and I got my shale linen from, it's Picture This Plus Shale, and I got it from Inspired Needle. I don't know if she has more, but you can order it on her website even if she doesn't have it, and then you just wait for it to come in. If you don't care to do that, you can always just call her and find out if she has it in stock. So that's Inspired Needle. Kyle asked what is my favorite finish ever and why. So I really had to think about that. I've started cross-stitching when I was very young, and I off and on stitched my whole adult life. So I think that the piece that I am most proud of is a piece that I actually gave to my mother-in-law many years ago, probably either right before I was married or shortly thereafter. So we're talking like maybe 18, 19, 20 years ago. And it is done on black Ada. It was a Dimensions kit. I've seen, I know Amy Loves Toads had done parts of this project, and I'm going to insert the picture here. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I found the picture of it online. It's available still. And I don't stitch on black Ada anymore, but apparently at the time it was not a problem for me, and there were metallic threads in there, and I really liked the way it came out. Even now I look at it when I go to visit her and I just smile because I really like the piece, and it is not perfect. My stitches I don't even think are going the same way in the same direction in every stitch, because again, it was a long time ago, and I actually have thought about buying the kit and redoing it so I could stitch it better. But I have so many other things I want to stitch, I don't think I'll actually ever really do that. But that's probably my favorite project that I've ever finished. Susan wanted to know my Blackbird seasonal piece, which I think she means the summer, autumn, winter piece. Did I use the called for fabric? And I don't know what the called for fabric is, but I'm almost positive I did not use it. I used R&R creme brulee, 36 count, and I don't think that that's what they called for. I think that is it for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start with finishes. I had actually a start, a finish, and an FFO this week. So I, several weeks ago, showed you a pattern for Misty Purcell's Gathering Berries chart, and I have been wanting to do it ever since. I really like it. It's super cute, so I stitched it up, and she has a version with buttons and another without buttons, and I kind of combined the two. You're supposed to have buttons up here. I didn't put those in, but I did put the two buttons here, and it took me 2 days to stitch this. It was super easy, fun to do, and I stitched it on Silk Weaver 36 count in the color Cameo. It's not coming out on the screen, but there's almost a very, very pale hint of pink in the fabric, and this floss is Classic Colorworks Apple Fritter, which I had never used before, and I love the variegation in it. It doesn't bother me that it's striped. I actually kind of think that's cool. I know that birds and strawberries aren't necessarily striped, but I like it. It doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people will stitch like in a circle to get a more natural variegation in it, but I just did it straight across because I like to stitch one leg at a time and go back, so that's how mine came out. And I, on the back, kind of did what I consider the Lori Holt method of covering up my hole from when I turned the pillow inside out, and I put a couple pieces of felt there with some buttons on a bulb pin and the 2020 charm. I'm not sure how well that's showing up because it's kind of got a glare from the light, but I love this, and this little pillow has me thinking that I want to do a whole bunch of these and put them in a bowl, which I still can't find a dough bowl anywhere. Mine broke. I've been to Hobby Lobby several times, can't find anything I like. So I have some time to stitch these because I don't have a bowl to put them in. But I have in my plans, I will show you what the next little red pillow is that I'm going to do. And I also have been using a type of stuffing or polyfill, I guess. It's called cluster stuff. And I will put a link to it in the description box below. It is not, when it comes out of the bag, it's not like one big piece. It's like little tiny pieces that are kind of clinging together. And what I like about this is you stuff the pillow and then you iron it, and it makes it really kind of flat. I don't know how well you can see that, but this is not a super puffy pillow. Like, it's stuffed fairly well. I like it to be firmly stuffed, but I don't want it to be like bulging. And so I can iron this cluster stuff filling, you know, iron the pillow once that's in there, and it flattens it out a little bit, and I really like that. So I will say though, it's available on Amazon for much higher in price than it is on Walmart. So I got mine from walmart.com, and that's what I'll link in the description box below if I can find that there. So that was my only cross stitch finish this week. I have a quilt finish to show you, but I'll do that at the end in case you're not into quilting. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of my whips. I was finally able to finish the house from Lantern Lane. I had torn out the outline of the house because I didn't like the color I used, and I was stitching and stitching and stitching, and it just was, I was getting distracted by other projects too though. So last week I did not have it finished, but I finally do have it finished now, and I did everything in the house, the windows and chimneys and roof and some snow at the bottom there. So I love the way it came out, particularly the roof. I am using Victorian Motto thread in Old Bay Brown. Now, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but it is very, very variegated. And on the skein, I don't really like it. Like, I was not sure I was going to use it. I have another brown here, Chocolate Fudge, that I was going to use that I think is much prettier on the skein. But I'm so glad I use this because when you stitch all in one direction and all the way back in the other direction, it comes out really nicely. You can see a lot of variegation, but it looks like what a roof might look like after a few years. So I'm really happy with how that came out, and now I'm going to hopefully be able to do the rest of it more quickly because it's an alphabet and the borders, a fence, the flower motif. It's a lot left to do, but it's quick little motifs rather than a huge house. So I'm looking forward to getting this one definitely done by this Christmas and hopefully much earlier. I also worked on Mary Pepper Pouch, which is by Barbara Anna Designs. And this was a gift to me for my birthday from my friend Dee, and I am stitching it on 36 count pumpkin by XG Designs. I really like this fabric, and I had hoped to get it done, but I got distracted by the Gathering Berries project. So I did get this flower done, and I stitched the ear and started on the bird. I think that if I sit down this weekend, I can definitely focus on this and get it done this weekend. And then I have to figure out if I'm going to finish it like a pouch or do something different with it. I'm not sure. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned, but Lantern Lane is also 36 count. It's a silk weaver fabric. I believe it's precious metals, but I'm not 100% sure on what color that is. Another whip I have is the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow, and I did finally finish the top block over here that I had started with the lighthouse. And I just did a little bit more of the border too because it was like 9:30 at night. I didn't want to start a new project, so I started working on the border. I want to do the middle section with the boat in it next. So I'm up here, I finished this, and I just started doing across the top of there with the border color so that I can get in and do that section next. So this is being stitched with all DMC. Someone had asked me that, and I don't know that I mentioned that in my questions. Let's just see here. I didn't write it down in here either, but I know someone had asked me, I'm sorry I forgot your name, what I was using to stitch this. I am using the DMC fabric, or colors rather, but I, for the large sections of water, am using over-dyed cotton thread. So in this case, let me see if I can tell you what I used for that water. Classic Colorworks blue beadboard is what I used for the water in this first block. So I'm not going to use the same color for every block. I just thought that it would be kind of interesting to have different colors of blue and variegated colors of blue for the water. So this, I really love stitching. I think I'm going to probably put it away for a week or two. I have got to finish that Blackbird's design piece. I didn't touch it at all this week. And all I have to do is the winter section, and I really just want to work on that. Speaking of that, one thing I wanted to mention, so many of you commented last week. I had said that on that summer, autumn, winter piece for that I'm doing, I had seen someone mentioning that they were going to write in the words, "To everything there is a season," and that I might do that underneath my alphabet. And it was Misty Purcell from Luminous Fiber Arts who had that brilliant idea. And I'm sure, since she actually designs cross-stitch patterns, that she can come up with a really well done way of charting that and bringing that idea to life. I am going to go online to, there's some free websites out there where you can just type in words and they print it out in a cross-stitch pattern for you, and that's what I'll be using. I'm thinking of just trying to find a nice cursive font in that and figure out how much space I have and get it hopefully to fit in that space, and I will keep you posted on that as I work on that project. But I want to get the actual stitching of the winter section done first before I tackle what I'm going to put on the bottom. So thank you, Misty, for that great idea, because I really like it. I think I'm going to do that. I had a couple more starts this week besides the Gathering Berries. I showed you last week, I had a bunch of these, I have all the charts now for a year in chalk, and I have a bunch of them kitted up for one for each of the 4 seasons to start with. I wanted to do Catch a Wave because I really like the cute little whales, and I am almost done. I have to go down and do, it's not, I guess it's a border of waves at the bottom and up the side, and then I'll be done. So I can probably finish that up this weekend as well. I am doing this on 32 count Wexford linen by Silk Weaver, and I don't remember the color, so I'm going to try and insert that here because I'll look it up after I'm done with the video. The other start that I had is Teresa Kogut's Land That I Love. This is just my working copy, so pardon the poor photocopy of it, but I had purchased some fabric from Kitten Stitcher. It's XJU Designs, and it is called My Little Dove, and it looks like this, and I was really excited to start it, but then I got a little nervous because a lot of people were saying their colors weren't showing up on the gray fabrics they were choosing. So I had a fat half. I had cut off the piece that I was going to use for Land That I Love, and I had this extra piece. I said, let me coffee tea dye that. See if the colors show up better if I grunge it up. So I'm going to insert a picture here of what that looks like when I coffee tea dyed it, and you can see the two colors next to each other, side by side, and I actually really love the way it came out when I coffee tea dyed it, but I did a couple stitches in some of the blues and some of the browns on both the original fabric and the coffee tea dyed fabric, and I ended up going with the fabric that I originally had, not coffee tea dyed. So this is 36 count My Little Dove by XJU Designs. And this is what I have so far. And I think the colors are showing up just fine. And it's definitely a very blue gray, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's coming out fairly true to color on the screen. And you'll notice if you look closely at the pattern that my alphabet, my letter A, it's supposed to be done in blue. And also the letter U that I haven't stitched yet is also supposed to be done in blue. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stitch all the letters in red except for my initials. So I'll do those 2 letters in blue just to kind of personalize it a little bit. So not a big start on this, but I really like it. I think there's a lot of color changes in that border. So if you do it kind of as you go along, so I think what I'm going to do is just do that vine first all the way around and then go back and fill in the different pieces so I can stick with one color for a longer period of time. So that is all I have for whips and projects that I worked on this week. I'm going to really quickly show you my haul and my plans, and then I have one quick quilting thing to show you. So for haul, I did get this Moda jelly roll of Christmas fabric. It is Christmas Figs 2. And I'll talk about what I'm going to do with this when I talk about quilting. I also got the summer issue of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. I love this magazine, but I think I might be the last person in the United States to receive this magazine every time it comes out. And I know that the mail is crazy, and so I'm not complaining about that. It's been hard to get things mailed, but I have a subscription to this and it's ending, and I'm considering just going to buy it every time it comes out through either Crazy Annie Stitching or through a store or whatever, just so I can have it sooner, because I see everyone going through their magazines and showing all the patterns, and by the time it comes to me, I've already seen them all on someone else's Flosstube. So I know it probably costs a couple more dollars if I don't do the subscription. I'm sure I'm saving money with the subscription, but I think I might just buy them individually from now on. They are really great. There's so many patterns in them, and if you don't get this magazine, I do suggest you give it a shot. I am really excited about doing this project, which is a stitching mat by Vanna Pfeiffer, and I was just reading the magazine and I thought, you know, this is something that I could do. It doesn't look that hard, and she's got really good illustrations and pictures that tell you how to do it. So she used a pattern called My Dwelling Place from Little House Needleworks, and you can see it right there stitched up. And I am going to use a freebie by Teresa Kogut. It was her Nashville 2020 freebie, so I'll just flash it up here really quick. It's called Create Every Day, it says. And I think it's smaller than what Vanna used, so I will need some more fabric around the stitch piece to make it the right size, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you the fabric that I bought. I'll insert a picture of it because there's a lot of different fabrics, but I got some blue, green, aqua color fabric that I am going to use for my stitching mat. And as far as the actual stitching that I'm going to do for this Create Everyday piece, I am going to stitch that on Vintage Belfast Linen in Smoky White by Zweigart. This is 32 count. And it's white, but it has some modeling of brown on it, and so I thought that would work. I have Victorian Mottos Hilltop Green for the word create, and then Weeks Dye Works Americana is going to be the words every day, and there's like a little motif of checkerboard down at the bottom. And then there's a needle that you stitch as well, so I'll probably just get a gray color to stitch the needle. And the blue will be a thread that is backstitched through the eye of the needle and around one of the letters. So those are the colors I'm going to use to stitch that piece, and I'm going to try and stitch that hopefully soon, maybe this week, and then give the stitching mat a try. I was thinking of making a couple of them because I probably owe my mom a little something since she's been making me journals and things like that. So I thought, oh, well, I could make 2 of them. When you're doing sewing, a lot of times it's so easy to just double what you're doing and get 2 out of the same amount of time. So that is kind of my plans along with my haul of fabric. And the other thing that I have planned, as I mentioned, I want to do some smalls to go along with my gathering berries in a bowl. And so all red smalls, and I have this Ooh La La book from Blackbird Designs, and there's 3 smalls in here that I think I'm going to do. I had to go in and see, like, well, how small are these? So I'm going to do this one, which is Mon Petit Exemplar. And on 36 count, I should be able to, it's on 32 count and it's about a 6-inch square. So I feel like on 36 count, it'll be a good size. I'm going to also do a little bit French, which is this little guy. I don't know how well you can see that picture. And that one is on 28 count, 5.5. So that's definitely a good size for my bowl. But the one I'm going to start with, I'm not even going to attempt the French name for this pincushion, but I love down here all the different colors there. So I am going to work on this. As soon as I finish up a couple of the other smalls that I have going on here. And I found a piece of Silk Weaver 36 count pecan linen that I'm going to use. So here's that. And I'm using some of the called for colors. So Country Redwood is the red that they use. And then I had some of the other colors that are called for in the bottom checkerboard, but some I didn't have. So I just grabbed colors that were similar to those and kind of made my own here. So those are the colors I'm going to use. And I think this should be a fairly quick little stitch. So we'll get going on filling my bowl with red smalls. All right, and so the other thing that was occupying my time this week is a quilt project I was working on. Some of my stitchy friends are also into quilting, and they were watching videos on jelly roll races or something like that, and I got bitten by the bug and bought I actually bought 2 Christmas jelly rolls, this one and another one that hasn't come in yet, so I'm sure I'll have that for my haul next week. And I have plans to make some quilts. I really like what Priscilla and Chelsea do when they make quilts. They are quick, easy patterns, get them done, get them on your couch so you can use them. I do love all sorts of fancy patterns, but I guess I'm more of a product quilter than a process quilter at this point. And I just want the finished quilts. So I have decided to just do some with some simple patterns that I can get done. So I was waiting for these jelly rolls to come in, but I wanted to quilt something this week and I didn't have any jelly rolls, so I made my own. So I'll insert a picture here of the fabric that I cut. I got all this fabric from my mom's house, of course, because she has a bigger fabric stash than I do. And I cut it into 2.5-inch strips so I could kind of make my own jelly roll. And then I used a pattern that I found online from Stitchery Dickory Dock, and I'll insert that pattern down below so you could see it. And also, if there's a picture, I'll insert the picture of what it's supposed to look like here. And I think it's supposed to be a baby quilt. I made mine a little bigger and in fall colors. So this is a look at part of the quilt. You can't quite see it all because of the way my camera's set up here, but I'm going to insert a picture of the whole thing that I took hanging on my steps. You can see what I did was I sewed the jelly rolls in strips, 3 strips, and then I cut that square apart to make these half square triangles. So it is something that is easy to do if you can sew a straight line with a 1/4-inch seam on a sewing machine. You can make this, but it looks a little fancier than just a regular strip quilt. So I was excited to do that. I love the way it came out. I love the colors in it, and I have this fabric for the back, which I think will look nice with these colors in here, and also pilfered from my mother's fabric stash. And you see why I have to make her a stitching mat, right? Because I take a lot. I have to give some things back. So I am ready to quilt this one, and I also have that patriotic quilt that I made over the summer. And when my other jelly roll gets here, I'll have 2 Christmas quilts to make, so I'm going to make those tops, and then I'll have 4 quilt tops that I need to quilt. So I'll be, right now my mom has a quilt on her long arm machine, a king size quilt that she's quilting, and when she's done with that, I'm going to try and get over there and get a couple of these quilts done, and then I will have some quilts for the fall and for Christmas season, so that'll be nice. I think that is all for today. I'm going to post this video today, and I also did ask last week if you wanted to see a whip parade. A lot of people said yes, 1 or 2 people said no, so I said, you know what, I think I'll just do it as a separate video. It's been really busy here, so I haven't had time to do a second video on my whip parade. I was actually really excited that I had enough time to do this first video today, but hopefully over the weekend I'll have some time where I can sit and pull out my whips and do a whip parade, and I'll just post that whatever day I finish it as like just an extra video. So watch it if you'd like, and if you don't, that's okay too. But thank you so much for coming today and watching my video, and I hope that you have a great week. I hope that you are all staying safe and healthy and getting lots of stitching done. Bye-bye.